While Essence Matthews was sitting inside her family church in Meadow Heights, trying to understand what restoration might look like, Alan Sinclair was waking up on the floor of his walk-in closet in Crest Haven. The last thing he remembered clearly was Essence's letter trembling in his hand and the certainty that his life had split open. Before we begin, please like, follow, and share. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to Whispers of Grace Stories, turn on notifications, and follow Kindred Spirits every Thursday. When today's story is over, tell us in the comments, how much of your life would you sacrifice to keep a secret buried? Morning light had found its way beneath the closet door, cutting a thin line across the floor. Alan opened his eyes and immediately wished he hadn't. His head throbbed. His mouth was dry. His body felt heavy, as though the expensive suit he had worn the night before had somehow gained 20 pounds while he slept. For several seconds, he didn't know where he was. Then he saw the black leather case beside him. Open. His stomach turned. Memory returned in pieces. The empty driveway. Essence's missing clothes. The letter on the refrigerator. His mother's voice in his head. Then the desperate decision he had made because he wanted all of it to disappear. Alan closed his eyes again. Damn it. He had spent years perfecting the appearance of control. Tailored suits, executive meetings, luxury vehicles, a townhouse in a gated community, a future wife everyone would admire. But here he was, 37 years old, waking up on the floor of his own closet because he did not know how to survive one night without escaping himself. He pushed the leather case away and forced himself upright. His knees nearly buckled when he stood. He reached for the closet wall and waited for the room to stop moving. Then he opened the door. The bedroom was too quiet. Essence's absence struck him before he even looked toward her side of the room. Her perfume was gone from the dresser. The chair where she used to leave a robe was empty. The little things he had ignored because he assumed they would always be there were suddenly the loudest things in the house. Alan walked downstairs slowly. Essence's letter was still on the kitchen counter where he had left it. He did not pick it up. He could almost recite it already. You have a life beyond your mother's plans. You have an identity beyond the Sinclair name. The words made him angry because they sounded like something he had been trying not to know. His phone was lying near the sink. The screen was crowded with missed calls. Shannon, 3, Maribel, 11, then 12 as the phone began ringing again in his hand. Alan stared at his mother calling until the call stopped. 10 seconds later, someone began pounding on the front door. Not ringing, pounding. He did not need to check the camera. Of course, he muttered. He crossed the living room and opened the door. Maribel Sinclair stood on the other side wearing cream trousers, a silk blouse, dark sunglasses, and an expression that suggested the morning had personally offended her. Charles stood several feet behind her near the car. Maribel removed her sunglasses and looked Alan up and down. Her eyes stopped on his wrinkled clothes, then the sweat along his hairline. You look disgusting. Alan leaned against the doorway. Good morning to you too, Mother. She pushed past him without being invited. I have called you all morning. Connor said there has been no movement at this house since you came home last night. I assumed either you were dead or you had done something stupid. Alan closed the door. Nice to know death made the list. Maribel walked into the kitchen and stopped when she saw the letter on the counter. The handwriting caught her attention. She picked it up before Alan could object. Put that down. Maribel ignored him. She read quickly. Alan watched her face change line by line. Not into grief, not concern, calculation. When she finished, She lowered the page and looked at him with something colder than anger. "She left you." Alan laughed once, bitterly. "Thank you for the update." "You let her leave?" That sentence landed differently. Alan straightened. "I didn't let Essence do anything." Maribel folded the letter carefully. "Do you have any idea what you have done?" Alan stared at her. "My fiancé left me. I woke up on a closet floor, and somehow you have managed to make this about you in under 5 minutes. That's impressive, even for you." Maribel's jaw tightened. This was not supposed to happen. What wasn't Essence having free will? The wedding was months away. "Not anymore." Maribel stepped closer. "Then get her back." Alan almost laughed. Then he saw her eyes. She was not speaking as a mother trying to save her son's relationship. She was speaking like an executive trying to recover a failing deal. And suddenly Alan realized there was still something about Maribel's plan he had never been told. Alan took the letter from Maribel's hand. "Why are you this scared?" The question stopped her. Maribel's face barely moved, but Alan knew her well enough to recognize the pause. She was calculating how much truth to give him. "I am not scared." "You are terrified." He dropped the letter back onto the counter. "You have been obsessed with this wedding from the beginning. You pushed Todd to put a rush on Essence's divorce paperwork. You monitored what I drank, what I ate, whether I was healthy enough to get her pregnant. You tolerated Shannon as long as she stayed hidden. You even had Connor watching this house, and every time I asked why, you called it concern." He stepped closer. "So tell me what this wedding was really for." Maribel turned toward the windows. "Your father set up your trust because he wanted to protect your future." "I know that." "No. You know the version Jonathan told you." Alan's expression hardened. Maribel continued. "When he adopted you, he made you his legal heir. The trust was designed so you would never have to depend on anyone, including me. But Jonathan has always believed money should come with responsibility. He did not want you taking full control while you were still drifting through your life. He wanted you settled, married, building a family, showing him you had created something stable enough to carry the Sinclair name after him." Alan's stomach tightened. He had known the broad promise. Jonathan had told him more than once that when Alan finally settled down, the trust would become his to control. Alan had always assumed Maribel wanted the wedding because she wanted access to him after that happened. But there was more. "What did you do?" he asked. Maribel remained facing the window. "I made an investment." "The overseas deal?" Her shoulders stiffened. Alan's voice lowered. "The one you threatened me about last night." Maribel turned. "It was supposed to multiply quickly. The projections were exceptional. The people involved had credentials, government relationships, land. How much did you lose?" "Alan, how much?" She looked away. That was answer enough. Alan felt his chest tighten again. "Was it your money?" Maribel said nothing. "Mother, some of it." Alan stared at her. "Whose was the rest?" "Money moves through a marriage in ways that are complicated." "Whose money?" "Your father would not understand." Alan's face changed. "Jonathan's." Maribel's composure finally cracked. "I did not steal from him." "What would you call using his money without telling him?" "I intended to replace every cent before he ever knew it had moved." "And then you lost it. The deal collapsed." Alan took a step backward and laughed in disbelief. Suddenly, the entire last year looked different. The pressure, the wedding, the rushed divorce, the fertility statistics, the constant questions about Essence's health. Maribel's sudden interest in whether Essence wanted more children, all of it. "My trust," Alan said slowly. Maribel said nothing. "You needed my trust. I needed time. You needed my money. The trust is yours. Which means it wasn't yours to plan around." Maribel's voice sharpened. "Do not stand there pretending you have ever complained about what my plans provided for you. The education, the house, the car, the position, the name. You enjoyed every benefit. Jonathan gave me those things. Jonathan would not have known you existed if I had not put myself in his path." Alan stared at her. There it was, the claim she had made his entire life. Every good thing that happened to him was somehow a debt he owed Maribel. She stepped closer. "Once you married Essence and began a family, Jonathan was prepared to turn full control of the trust over to you. He has said it for years. You would have had more money than you could spend in 3 lifetimes." Alan's voice became quiet. "And you expected me to give you enough to cover what you lost. Temporarily, without telling Dad. There was no reason to destroy a marriage over a business loss that could be corrected." Alan's eyes filled with disgust. "Whose marriage are you talking about? Yours, or the one you were trying to manufacture for me?" Maribel folded her arms. "Essence was good for you. You don't even like Essence." "I did not need to like her." The room went still. Maribel realized the truth had escaped before she could polish it. Alan waited. "Then what did you need from her?" Maribel's eyes hardened again. "She was respectable, educated, a mother already. She has a softness Jonathan approves of. She came from enough struggle to appreciate what this family could give her. And after Charles looked into her background, I knew she wanted stability almost as badly as you did." Alan stared at his mother as if he were seeing her clearly for the first time. "You investigated her." "Of course I investigated her." "When?" "After you introduced us." And now Alan remembered the rainy day at the coffee house, Maribel watching Essence with that quiet, measuring stare. He had thought she was judging whether Essence was good enough for him. He had been wrong. Maribel had been deciding whether Essence was useful enough for her. The nausea rising in Alan's stomach had nothing to do with the night before. "You knew about rehab?" he asked. Maribel did not answer immediately. "You knew she was still legally married. You knew about the boys. You knew she was vulnerable." "I knew enough. And instead of telling me to leave her alone while she healed, you decided that made her easier to control." Maribel's mouth tightened. "Do not put words in my mouth. You just said she wanted stability. You meant she would be grateful." Alan's voice rose. "You thought if I gave her the townhouse, clothes, trips, jewelry, the status, a lavish wedding, she would never question why everything was moving so fast." "And was I wrong?" The cruelty of the question silenced him. Maribel continued before he could answer. "Essence enjoyed this life. Do not rewrite history, because she found her conscience again and ran away in the middle of the night. She liked the house. She liked the lifestyle. She liked what your name opened for her. I simply understood what motivated her." Alan's hands curled into fists. "She is a person, not a weakness you discovered in a report. Everyone has a weakness, including you. Especially me," Maribel said without shame. "The difference is, I learned to use mine before someone else could." Alan looked at the woman standing in his kitchen and suddenly understood something Essence had been trying to tell him without knowing the details. His mother's plans were not dangerous only because she controlled him. They were dangerous because she could look at another person's pain and see leverage. "So the baby?" Alan asked. Maribel's expression shifted. What about it? You cared more about Essence getting pregnant than either of us did. He remembered the articles, the supplements, the questions about doctors, the warnings about alcohol, drugs, and fertility statistics. Why? Jonathan wants grandchildren, you know that? That's not an answer. Maribel exhaled impatiently. A marriage could be delayed, a wedding could be canceled, a pregnancy made the future real. Jonathan would see you building the family he always wanted for you. He would stop managing your trust like you were still a confused boy and place it fully in your hands. Alan's face went cold. So you needed a wedding picture and a pregnant wife to unlock my money. Do not make it sound vulgar. I'm making it sound exactly like what it is. I was protecting this family. You were covering a loss. A loss that could destroy everything if Jonathan discovers it before I repair it. Everything. Alan looked around the townhouse. Or everything you care about. Maribel's eyes narrowed. You think this lifestyle survives scandal? You think your position at the firm survives if Jonathan learns his wife made a disastrous financial decision behind his back and his son is an addict sleeping with another woman while preparing to marry someone else's wife? Alan flinched. Maribel saw it and pressed harder. You think Essence leaving is liberation? She just removed the one thing making you look stable. So that's what she was to you. She was an opportunity for everyone to get what they needed. Alan stared at her. I love her. Then go get her. No. Maribel blinked. It was such a small word that for a moment she seemed not to understand it. Excuse me? Alan swallowed. His body still felt weak, but the word had come from somewhere deeper than the fear. No. Maribel's face transformed. You will call her. No. You will apologize, send flowers, speak to her mother, use the boys if you have to. Do not ever tell me to use her children. Then find another way. She left because she finally saw what this house was doing to her. She left because she is unstable. Alan slammed his palm against the counter. Stop calling everybody unstable when they stop obeying you. Silence exploded through the room. Even Charles, waiting outside, looked toward the windows. Alan's breathing became uneven. Maribel's face went still. She had spent his entire life training him not to raise his voice at her. You are high, she said calmly. Alan laughed bitterly. Maybe I'm sick. Maybe I'm weak. Maybe I'm every embarrassing thing you tell people I am when you need me afraid. But Essence was right about one thing. He pointed toward the letter. I don't know who I am outside of you. Maribel lifted her chin. And you think losing everything will help you discover it? I don't know. You will lose the townhouse, the car, your position, your trust, your father. Alan looked directly at her. Maybe I need to find out what is actually mine before I keep calling all of this my life. For the first time that morning, Maribel looked genuinely frightened, not of losing money, of losing control. Maribel recovered quickly. Fear never stayed visible on her face for long. You are emotional, she said. You need sleep, a shower, and enough common sense not to destroy your future because a confused woman packed a moving truck. Alan shook his head. You still don't hear yourself? I hear myself perfectly. No, you hear strategy. You don't hear people. Maribel picked up her handbag from the counter. And people who live by emotion usually end up needing people like me to clean up after them. Is that what you call this? Cleaning up? Alan gestured toward her. You gamble with Dad's money, build a plan around my trust, investigate Essence, rush her divorce paperwork, pressure us to get pregnant right away, and then call it cleaning up. Lower your voice. Why? Is Jonathan outside? That landed. Maribel's eyes sharpened. Be careful. Alan took another step toward her. Does Dad know any of it? He knows what he needs to know, which means no. Alan, I'm going to tell him. The color drained from Maribel's face so subtly, someone else might have missed it. Alan did not. You will do no such thing. He deserves to know what happened to his money. And what exactly are you going to tell him? That his wife made one unfortunate investment? Fine. Then I will tell him everything else. Go ahead. Do not challenge me. Maribel moved closer, her voice low. I will tell him about Shannon. I will tell him about the drugs. I will tell him how many meetings you attended while barely functional. I will tell him you have been lying to Essence, lying to him, and embarrassing this family for the past year. I will make sure he understands that whatever mistakes I made, his beloved son has been quietly self-destructing under his roof. Alan's face tightened. Every threat worked because it contained truth. That was Maribel's greatest weapon. She rarely needed to invent a weakness when she could simply expose one. Then tell him, Alan said. His voice shook, but he did not take it back. Tell him all of it, Maribel stared. You don't mean that. I do. You will lose him. Alan swallowed hard. Jonathan was the only father he had ever known. The idea of disappointing him had shaped nearly every adult decision Alan made. Maribel knew that. She was counting on it. Maybe, Alan said. But if I have to lie to keep him, then I already lost something. Maribel studied him as though searching for the frightened child who normally appeared when she applied enough pressure. She could not find him quickly enough, so she changed tactics. Her expression softened. Alan, baby. He almost laughed. She had not called him baby in years unless she needed something. I did everything I did because I know what it feels like to have nothing. You don't remember the worst of it, the cheap apartments, the men who thought they owned me because they paid one bill, the jobs where people looked through me. I promised myself I would never go back there. For 1 second, Alan saw the woman beneath the armor. Then she ruined it. I will not lose everything because Essence Matthews suddenly decided she wants to find herself. Alan's sympathy disappeared. There it is. What? You would burn everybody around you before you ever admit you are afraid. Maribel's eyes hardened. Alan nodded toward the door. Leave. This is my property as much as... Leave. You are making a mistake. Probably. His voice cracked. I have made a lot of them, but this one is mine. Maribel stared at him for several seconds, then put on her sunglasses. When you come to your senses, call me. Don't contact Essence. She stopped. I mean it. Don't call her. Don't send Charles. Don't investigate her new address. Don't contact her mother, her sons, Colin, anybody. Maribel turned slowly. You are in no position to give me orders. Then consider it a warning. She smiled, but there was nothing warm in it. You sound just like your father. Alan's expression changed. Good. That answer irritated her more than anything else he had said. Maribel opened the front door and walked out. Charles glanced at Alan from beside the car, then followed her without a word. The door closed. Alan stood in the foyer until the sound of their car disappeared. Then his legs gave out beneath him. He sat on the bottom stair, elbows on his knees, hands shaking. Saying no had not made him sober. It had not healed his addiction. It had not brought Essence back. It had not erased Shannon, the lies, or the money. It had only removed the person he usually blamed for every choice he did not want to own. And that was terrifying. Alan looked toward the kitchen where Essence's letter waited. For the first time, he understood that freedom was not the same thing as being rescued. Freedom meant he would have to tell the truth about himself, too. Alan stayed on the stair for a long time. Eventually, his phone vibrated again. This time, the name on the screen was Shannon. He almost ignored it. Then he remembered the black leather case upstairs and answered. "Hello?" Shannon was quiet for a beat. "You sound terrible." "I feel worse. I called you last night after I didn't get a text that you made it home." "I know. Did something happen? Did Essence find out about us?" Alan closed his eyes. "No. Then what?" He looked toward the kitchen. "She left." Shannon did not respond immediately. When she finally spoke, the sharpness was gone. "Alan, I'm sorry." "Are you?" "I can be selfish and still know when somebody is hurting." He laughed faintly. "Apparently everybody decided to become honest today." "What does that mean?" Alan told her Maribel had come by. He did not give every detail, but he told enough. The overseas loss, the trust, the wedding, the pregnancy pressure, the way Essence had been folded into a plan neither of them fully understood. Shannon listened without interrupting. "So your mother needed you married because she needed your money," she said finally. "Basically. And what are you going to do?" Alan looked toward the stairs. His body remembered the relief waiting upstairs before his mind could answer. "I don't know." Shannon heard the hesitation. "Do you want me to come over?" Alan knew what that offer had meant every other time. Her presence, a drink, something stronger, hours where neither of them had to be the people they were in daylight. He wanted to say yes so badly that his teeth hurt. "No." Shannon went silent. "No? Not like that." Alan rubbed his face. "If you come here, I don't need you to bring anything." "Alan!" "Nothing. No bottle, no pills, nothing." She exhaled slowly. "Okay. And I don't need you to make me forget." He looked at Essence's letter again. "I think forgetting is how I got here." Shannon's voice softened. "Then what do you need?" Alan stared at his father's name in his contacts. "I need somebody to talk to after I do something I've been afraid to do my entire adult life." "What?" "Tell my dad the truth." Shannon was quiet. Then she said, "Call him before you change your mind." Alan almost smiled. "That's surprisingly decent advice." "Don't get used to it." He ended the call and sat there another minute. Then he pressed Jonathan's name. The phone rang. Once, twice, 3 times. Voicemail. Alan nearly hung up. His old instinct told him to wait until he could sound better, cleaner, more convincing, more like the son Jonathan believed he had raised. Instead, Alan waited for the tone. "Dad, it's Alan." His voice cracked and he stopped. He almost deleted the message. Then he forced himself to continue. "I need to talk to you, not about work, not about the wedding, about Mom, and about me. There are things you don't know, and I should have told you a long time ago." He looked down at his trembling hand. "Please call me when you get this." Alan ended the call. Across Meadow Heights, Essence Matthews was standing in the aisle of her family's church, while Colin wrapped his arms around her and spoke words she had no idea Alan needed too. "This is your season of restoration." Essence heard restoration as permission to rebuild. Alan was only beginning to understand that restoration would require demolition first. The lies, the addiction, Shannon, Maribel, the trust, the life he had spent defending because he did not know who he would be without it. Alan stood and walked upstairs. He stopped at the closet doorway. The black leather case was still there on the floor in his closet. For several seconds, he stared at the kitchen counter where the letter was. He was not healed. He was not suddenly free. He was a man standing between 2 exits. knowing one had nearly destroyed him and having no idea where the other one led. His phone rang. Alan froze. The screen lit up with one word. Dad. He stared at it, then answered. Hello? Jonathan's voice was calm on the other end. Alan, what's wrong? Alan looked towards the front door Maribel had just walked through moments ago. Then, at Essence's letter, he drew one slow breath. Dad, I need you to listen to me before you call Mom. And for the first time in his life, Alan Sinclair began telling the truth before Maribel could tell her version first. Before you go, please like, follow, and share Kindred Spirits. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to Whispers of Grace Stories and join us every Thursday for a new episode. Then, tell us in the comments, do you think Alan is finally choosing freedom, or is he too deep in Maribel's control to get out? And what would you do if you discovered the relationship you thought was your future had been turned into somebody else's escape plan?